So, A Bug's Life is not really a Pixar movie that people rave about all that much. I mean, out of all of them, this movie does look the most dated, although I do think the animators might have updated the movie when they released it on Disney Plus. It still kind of feels odd. It still kind of feels like the ants are made up of those clay pieces you give to an infant, and honestly, it still creeps me out to this day a little bit every time they blink or do anything. And there are many more things about this movie that are really dark.
We drew one of you dying because our teacher said it would be more dramatic.
Yeah, this movie gets really dark sometimes. So, you know what? Let's ignore all of them and focus on the positives for a while. The themes that this movie attempts to tackle about the people you surround yourself with, and by that I mean the fact that you shouldn't really try to please the people who aren't capable of recognizing your strengths and just look down on you all the time. This theme is best shown with Flick and how at the start his colony just straight up rejects all of his ideas, even though it would benefit them a ton. And he ends up becoming the best version of himself when he surrounds himself with people who genuinely support him and encourage him, thus making him the best version of himself, who does go on to change the ways of the ant colony, make their lives better, and be embraced as someone whom they are genuinely proud to have as a part of their community. You know, the things that he was pursuing and craving for in the first place at the start of the movie. The other theme is safety and certainty, best represented by the ant colony, who are very set in their ways and just stick to them because, well, they've kept them alive for so long. But those ways are also what's keeping them miserable and stuck. And the only way to make things better and more exciting is by doing things differently and taking chances. Best showcased in these two scenes.
Dr. Flora! Oh dear, not another one.
This is insane.
Insane.
So let's talk about the character arcs first with Flick, who is an inventor who just wants to make things better for the ant colony and desperately wants to feel like he belongs in their community. But he's also really clumsy, and that makes the colony view him and his inventions as a burden. Add to the fact that his overexcitement of explaining his inventions makes him completely oblivious to what the other ants are actually saying or trying to say, and this further adds to him being ostracized. Now, his arc starts with him trying to prove himself as useful so he can be accepted into the ant colony. So he ends up traveling to a city, finding a bunch of circus clowns that he thinks are the greatest warriors that exist. By the way, this hero shot still cracks me up to this day. It's so hilarious. The staging, the sound, the lighting, everything. And this movie is filled with such great jokes. Some of them feel forced, like you could have cut down over half of the jokes that were said in the bar scene, and this movie would be totally fine. Speaking of totally fine, that is how I would describe Atta's arc. She starts out as the nervous princess who just doesn't know how to be a leader and is just really anxious under the pressure, but ends up surrounding herself with people who do think she's good and ends up becoming the best version of herself, which is a really good leader. Again, touching on the theme of people you surround yourself with. The final part I do want to touch on is the circus clowns or the warriors or whatever you want to call them. They also touch on the same theme of surrounding yourself with the people who do support you and value you, as at the start of the story they're with this abomination, but eventually through miscommunication end up with Flick, who does value them and support them and makes them the best version of themselves, which helps them go from incompetent circus freaks to really effective performers. I mean, they are putting on a facade as the warriors and they are convincing everybody, and they do end up having a moment where they are effective circus performers at the end of the movie. Having said that, I kinda wish they stayed back on Ant Island instead of going back to this exploitative flea. And yes, they do start earning a lot more respect from that bug. But come on, look at this guy. Look at him. There's no way he's gonna keep his word. I mean, look at him. He's a flea. And finally, let's talk about the villain Hopper, easily Pixar's most villainous villain. He is just a control freak who just likes being in control of things and people. He just wants everyone under his thumb. Granted, he's an incredible leader and very competent, but his ego of just wanting to put the ants in their place because one of them stepped up and just wanting their resources, even though he had plenty of food for himself and the other grasshoppers, is a great flaw that ends up becoming his undoing. It's honestly amazing that they managed to make this guy such a good villain when the movie is around an hour and 30 minutes, I think. Great job all around. So yeah, there's The Bug's Life for you. Really good movie, probably would have been considered a great movie if it was produced by Illumination or some other animation studio that didn't have the quality of storytelling that Pixar did. But it's a Pixar movie, so it's not gonna be cracking anybody's top 10 ever. So yeah, that is my review of The Bug's Life. What did you think about it? Let me know down in the comments, and while you're down there, drop a like. Hope to see you soon later. Goodbye.